I've always felt like preschool, kindergarten should still be relatively enjoyable.
Preschool likes to use these terms. Play-based curriculum. Okay, for N1, N2, K1. But after that, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't know.
What kind of prerequisites are you expecting him to check before he goes to P1?
In P1, they're not going to do play-based curriculum anymore.
Well, fact is, I don't really agree with you. I think it's a bit too intense. Well, truth be told, I think Sparkle Thoughts is fine.
Am I a very kanchong parent? Am I stealing the joy of learning or the joy of childhood away from him?
So Naga, I think it's been a few years since you picked the kindergarten for your son. So how deliberate were you about that whole process?
Picked kindergartens.
How many?
Plural.
How many were there?
Okay, basically, first kindergarten or preschool, right? Okay. So that one was easy because we just want to go somewhere near our place, right? So that was the easy way out. So whatever was nearby seems reputable. We just send him there.
Right.
Simple. But after that, I think as he goes into K1 and all that. So I think as a teacher, I started thinking about whether the school is actually preparing him for primary 1. That was the first thing. So that was the first consideration. And then I started looking at the curriculum, what they cover in terms of literacy, numeracy. This is the danger of a parent being a teacher, right? So I think preschool teachers don't like us because they know what we're talking about. And then they also know that they need to explain to us clearly what they're doing in school. So that's another thing which happened. So when I look at the curriculum, I was not very satisfied with the... I don't think they were doing enough to prepare my son for the primary 1 in terms of all the things, basically language and maths. So I went, if you would call it, shopping, right? So I and my wife started looking around. So we started off as naturally what is in the media, like what are the big brands, right? So we went out, big brands, we went to look at visit schools, and then we see their curriculum, we talk to the teachers and all that. So what we realized is that the big schools are doing quite well in terms of curriculum. At the same time, they're also giving you a lot of enrichment things, right? So I thought, okay, that will actually ease on the enrichment that we need to send outside school hours. So that's another thing.
So this is the first switch that you made
first switch
preschool.
Yeah, correct. So first switch I made.
And when were you shopping? Like how old was...
I think that was after N2.
Right.
Yeah,
so
before
K1.
K1. Yeah, so that was the second school. So we decided on a particular school which had good enrichment, so that I don't need to send outside. So the priority was not really onto prepping for P1 yet, but it was there. But on top of that, there was like, I don't want to send outside and spend more money. So it was like, economical decision also. So we said, okay, if we can do it at one place, why need to go out and send here and send there? So logistically also, it'll be a heavy. So that was the second school. So after some time, what happened was, some preschools usually have this glass, you can see what's happening inside. So when I went to pick up my son sometime early and all that, I see that he's teaching. So
teaching?
Yeah, my son is teaching. So he's explaining to the class the lesson. So I was like, okay, so I just watched. One time, 2 times, I'm actually happy. Like, oh wow, my kid can explain, and the kids are actually writing or they are listening and all that. Yeah, so I said, good. Public speaking also covered, confidence covered. So I said, okay, very good. But after some time, I realized, okay, this is not going the way I'm going to go. So because as a teacher, I think, yes, it's good to have good students, but at the same time, we also need to stretch them. So I went to ask the teacher, talk to the teacher. The teacher always says, yeah, he's one of the best. Or he's good, he understands fast compared to the others and all that. So I said, that's good. I'm very proud of it, very happy. But at the same time, that means that they're not going to stretch him. So that was the aha moment for me. I said, they are not going to stretch him because he's going to be the better off. They're going to concentrate on the weaker kids, so-called. I mean, as a teacher also, I will also, the focus will be on the more on the weaker kids rather than to stretch. So the better ones, because they're already there, already meeting the expectation. So I said, okay, let's change again. So second round of shopping started to go to a school. Then this time I'm already into finishing K1 and going into K2. K2 for me, it's very important because you really need to prep already, because the next year is already the school for primary school, right? So I said, okay, let's look at curriculum more seriously. The enrichment didn't matter anymore. I can send outside. Or if I don't want to send, I don't need to send. Because what's more important is what's done during the school hours. So that's when I went to start. So the big brand names were still the same. The big preschools, the established ones were all doing things like, yes, curriculum, somewhat good. At the same time, they were doing equal amount of enrichment. Their selling point was the enrichment. We do music, we do drama, we do art, speech, all this. So I said, okay, but I'm not interested. I needed somebody who can do what primary one is doing. So that's when I found this school. Very small, quaint school, not very well known, in a very in a private estate, kind of thing. But they were doing a bit more old school technique of, like they will stretch the kids. The first thing they told me is that if your kid is good, we will stretch. We will give you extra work. We will give
read
you
your mind.
Yeah. So they use exercise book. I liked it. Also very old school exercise book. That means after the main worksheet is finished, they will do they will make it harder for him, like give him a more challenging sum or words for him to do, because he finished fast, right? That kind of thing. So I said, oh, that's good. That's what we need. So that's when I started. Okay, let's go for this one, which doesn't have much enrichment, but they really prepare for the P1. And at the moment, it's going so far, so good.
I have to ask, right, what traumatized you while you were teaching that make you go to such great lengths to be like, oh, I need, because I think it's obvious that you have a very clear idea of what you were looking for. So if you were to distill it down, like what kind of prerequisites are you expecting him to check before he goes to P1?
The thing is that, yes, now, we teach P1 also, right? And P1, P2, there's no exams, okay? So I think as a parent, we can actually take a not so serious approach. It's P1, P2, you can go. But I'm going at a point where if you are prepared for P1, P2, it's better, because after that, exam will still come in at P3. So you have to be on a pace where it's going upward. So if you are prepared in K2, I think when you go in at P1, you don't need to start from fresh. You actually are prepared to move on.
You keep talking about stretching, right? So what exactly are you getting in this current preschool that you weren't getting in the previous one?
Like just in terms of materials, very simple, right? Like example, this is the materials they plan, they print, and they deliver the lesson, and they do it and finish. Everybody does the same. There is no extra. There is no like, if the kid finishes fast, it's like go and play or go and read a book kind of thing. I didn't want that. I want them to give you like the next level worksheet, So I said, only this school so far had it. So I said, okay.
How do you even find that? How do you even I don't know, I find that that's something really hard to discover, right? It's so niche, you gotta go.
You have to do enough shopping.
Right. So how many did we, before you landed on this
I think we did 6 schools.
Right.
Yeah, so 6 schools. And then this was not even in our
radar
initial list of schools. Of course, you see all the names and the common names, right? This is not a common name. So it's just a relative sent their kid there previously. So they said it's good. So we didn't know that this stretching thing and all that was there. But we just went and then we found it. We said, yes, this is the way to go. It's going well so far, because I think you can see that he's doing more than the rest of some of his peers, where there's extra work done and all that. So because it's very clear, because they are also very deliberate in how they do this stretching, so-called, because the main worksheets are printed worksheets. The additional is in the exercise book.
Right.
So when you see there's more work done in the exercise book, that he's doing the more.
I think interestingly for me, so my son switched schools also, but for very different reasons really. We switched primarily because we moved.
Yep.
We moved for the primary school, I'll admit, but so that kind of forced me to have to change preschool. So we were in a private one originally. I don't think they were a massive chain, but it's a private, preschool. And then after that, we switched to Sparkle Tots. Well, truth be told, because I have a lot of these conversations with my wife and friends, and my general view is I think Sparkle Tots is fine. Maybe I'm just not very demanding in that aspect, right? I don't know, just kind of comparing, the private preschool and then Sparkle Tots. I mean, I can see the difference, right? My wife points out to me that, you go to the private ones, you get nicer art and craft materials, and then you have a little bit more. But to me, it's I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just not the right audience, because to me, that's just bells and whistles, right? I think, truth be told, right? I'm going to sound very politically correct here, but I think truth be told, I think Sparkle Thoughts does like a solid job of like, just checking all the basic boxes. But I guess, then the burning question is, obviously I'm kiasu about something too, right? Because we both teach. Obviously I have like some thoughts about, how I want to ensure my kid is ready for P1. But for me, I've always felt like, okay, preschool, kindergarten should still be relatively enjoyable. So, well, fact is, I don't really agree with you. I think it's a bit too intense. So for me, it's more like, I don't want to kill the desire to learn that early. I feel like that whole learning thing can be more than made up for with like, reading time at home and, just engaging them with more materials outside of school. So I don't know, I guess it's just a different philosophy because, I don't know, I didn't really feel like the drilling is really very important.
I don't think it's the drilling. Actually, I reflected
That's
about
what you
it.
describe, right? You're describing drilling. You want your son to be drilled from
drilled, of course.
K2, right?
Like I can't take it that, if he doesn't know what's going on in class in his blur P1. So that's one thing which is in the back of the mind when I decided. But I think another thing is that after this whole thing, I was like, am I a very, for the lack of better word, kanchong parent, they would call it, right? So I was thinking, so why am I doing this? Why has it come to this? So I was like, okay, am I stealing the joy of learning or the joy of childhood, away from him? So I said, no, actually, the first and the second preschool were quite play-based. That's another thing they would like to, preschool likes to use these terms, play-based curriculum. Yeah, which I thought, okay, for N1, N2, K1. But after that, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't know. I thought they should do more work. It's just me, maybe. So I thought that's what because I think in P1 they're not going to do play-based curriculum anymore. It's going to be also getting just used to sitting and going through lesson after lesson of teacher coming, do worksheet, marking, this kind of thing. So that whole process, they have to get used to it. Because I think a lot of times now also we see students in our classrooms getting bored. Right? Of course, we always attribute it to gadgets, screen time and all that. But at the same time, they are not used to it because the preschool is play-based. Yeah. Half an hour of studying, okay, go and play. Yeah. Half an hour sand time. Half an hour water play, the kind of thing. So this is not going to be the norm in preschool, primary school. So I thought he has to learn to get out of that thing, get used to more studying, book and paper, pen kind of approach. So I thought that was another reason, other than the fact that I want to stretch him. Secondly, I think my son likes to study. To be very honest, he likes to sit down. Lucky me. Okay.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So basically, he's okay with sitting down and doing work. He the playtime he plays, but minimal. He doesn't stretch the hours kind of thing. So I said, okay. So it goes with his characteristic or personality. So I thought another thing which I reflected is that really to know your kid well. If you know your kid, if your kid can go this way, that means don't mind sitting down and doing work and getting stretched and all that. So it's okay. But if your kid is the playful kind of thing who likes to enjoy, have fun time more than sitting down and all that, so I think you have to balance. So really, I think that I actually thought of his personality, then I decided, even though he didn't come to me first, it was a decision made by me because of my wife together, because of the fact that I wanted to stretch him. That's the first thing. But I think because at the back of our mind, we know our son's personality. So I thought that we capitalize on that. So that's why this school, I think, fitted perfectly.
If we can just sum up, right? What would you say is that one struggle you observe in some P1 kids that you were actively trying to avoid with how you chose the kindergarten?
I think it's basic. Okay, nowadays we have students, right? So we do K2 and all that. Writing. Just writing. Like example, I think they don't do much of like full sentence or even paragraph writing in kindergarten. So when primary 1, you go in and then they start asking you to write sentences. Not even write on your own, copying down from the screen. I think they find it a lot. The kids are just not used to it. Right? Like maybe 2 sentences. I've got students who come in 3 sentences and then they're like, I'm tired. Or like, oh, how much more, they ask. So they're not used to it. So this is something I think preschools also need to incorporate because there's a big jump. Yeah, so that's another thing I think, just writing, getting used to pen and paper approach is something I think one of the difficulties.
I think that gives good context to why you chose the preschool the way you did.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really just getting into that.
So that's one of the
Habit of,
my
like,
experience
you know.
with my students.
Yeah. I think just like sitting down, putting pen to paper and all that is a key. I mean, I guess for me, maybe I'm lucky. Like, I guess the part that I didn't really say is that, I mean, we do kind of check what's going on, in school when, my eldest son was still in kindergarten. And I think Sparkle Thoughts has a healthy dose of like, sitting down, getting work done and all that. And I guess he was doing okay. I mean, I didn't really feel the need to stretch, but I kind of felt like just generally interacting with him, speaking with him, because I think you get a good sense of where your child is at, even just by talking to them and just kind of observing their schoolwork, right? So I guess maybe I can afford to be a bit more cavalier because I thought, I think he's doing okay. But yeah, I totally agree that, if you're veering too far from what the kid is going to be experiencing in P1, then, just kind of making the transition that much more difficult. And then that's where, maybe people will start falling through the gaps.
Yeah.